The Plant Whisperer. In a small village nestled in the foothills of a mountain range, there lived a boy named Sam. Sam was a bit of a troublemaker, and he thought that gardening and talking to plants were silly activities that were only meant for girls. He would often ignore any signs of approach from the plants and brush them off as just being boring. Not infrequently, he would trample the plants with his foot or even amuse himself by tearing them to pieces. One day, while he was running around the garden with his friends, Sam tripped and fell face-first into a patch of soil. His friends laughed and pointed at him, and even the plants seemed to be snickering. "Ha! Look at you, Sam. You're covered in dirt," one of the boys teased. Sam scowled and got to his feet. He brushed off the dirt and tried to ignore the laughter. But then he heard a strange noise. It sounded like the plants were whispering to each other. "Did you hear that?" he asked his friends. "Hear what?" one of the girls asked. That noise. "It sounds like the plants are talking," Sam said, bewildered. His friends rolled their eyes. "You're an idiot," the pet parrot squawked, repeating the last word of the girl's sentence. Sam's cheeks turned red with embarrassment. But then, he heard the plants whispering again. This time, he could make out their words. "We're not just here to look pretty, you know," one of the plants said. "We have feelings, too. And you're hurting us when you trample on us like that." Sam felt guilty. He had never thought of the plants as anything more than decorations. Sam rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Did the plants just talk to him? He looked around to see if anyone else had heard the plants' voices, but his friends were too busy playing and the pet parrot was preoccupied with its own business. "Hey, did you guys hear that?" Sam asked his friends. "Hear what?" one of the boys asked. "The plants. They spoke to me," Sam exclaimed. His friends exchanged skeptical looks. "Sure they did, Sam. Maybe you're going crazy," the girl teased. Sam didn't know what to think. Maybe it was all in his head. But then, he heard the plants whispering again. "We're not crazy, Sam. We can talk to you," one of the plants said. Sam's jaw dropped in amazement. The plants really were talking to him. His friends were still unconvinced. "Yeah, right. And I can talk to unicorns," one of the boys scoffed. But the pet parrot, who had been listening to the whole conversation, suddenly spoke up. "Unicorns are real, you're an idiot," it squawked, causing everyone to burst out laughing. Sam couldn't believe it. He had always thought of the pet parrot as annoying, but now he was grateful for its unexpected support. "Well, if the parrot says unicorns are real, then maybe the plants can talk to me," Sam said, grinning. From that day on, Sam became the only one in his group who could hear the plants' voices. He even started having full conversations with them, much to the amusement of his friends and the pet parrot. "Hey Sam, what did the plants say today?" the girl asked, giggling. "They said that you have a crush on Johnny," Sam teased, causing the girl to blush. "And you're still an idiot," the pet parrot squawked, but this time it didn't seem to bother Sam as much. One day, Sam and his friends were playing tag in a dense forest near Sam's home. As they ran around, they suddenly heard a loud crash and turned to see one of their friends, Johnny, lying motionless on the ground. "Oh no, Johnny! Are you okay?" Sam yelled, rushing to his friend's side. Johnny had tripped and fallen hard on a sharp rock, and blood was oozing from his knee. Sam quickly assessed the situation and knew that they needed to get Johnny some help. But then, Sam remembered something. The plants! Maybe they could help. He ran over to a nearby patch of grass and began talking to the plants, begging them for help. At first, the plants seemed hesitant, but then they suddenly sprouted and began growing at an incredible rate. Sam's friends watched in amazement as the plants grew and intertwined, forming a makeshift stretcher that lifted Johnny off the ground and carried him to safety. As they rushed Johnny to the hospital, Sam's friends couldn't stop talking about the incredible display of nature's power. "Sam, you saved Johnny's life," the girl exclaimed, throwing her arms around him in gratitude. "Yeah man, that was amazing," one of the boys added. And even the pet parrot seemed impressed, repeating over and over, "Sam is a hero." From that day on, Sam's friends looked at him with newfound respect and admiration. And the girl, who had always teased him, suddenly found herself drawn to him, wanting to be around him as often as possible. "Sam, you're so brave and strong," she said, blushing. Sam smiled, feeling grateful for the power that had once made him feel like an outcast. Now, he knew that his connection to the plants had given him the ability to help others and make a difference in the world. One day, Sam woke up to find that the entire village was in trouble. There was a raging wildfire that was quickly spreading towards the village. Everyone was panicking and running around, trying to figure out what to do. Sam knew he had to act fast. He ran outside and saw that the flames were already approaching the village. He looked around and realized that there was no way they could put out the fire with just buckets of water. But then, Sam remembered his connection with the plants. He knew that he could use the power of nature to put out the fire. He quickly went to the nearest tree and began talking to it, asking for help. At first, nothing seemed to happen. But then, Sam noticed that the leaves of the tree were starting to glow. The glow quickly spread to the other trees in the area, and soon the entire forest was lit up with a brilliant green light. Suddenly, the vines and branches of the trees began to move, almost as if they were alive. They began to wrap themselves around the flames, extinguishing them one by one. Sam's pet parrot, who had been watching from a safe distance, flew over to Sam's shoulder and exclaimed, "You did it, Sam. You saved the village." The villagers looked on in amazement as the fire was put out right before their very eyes. They all cheered and applauded Sam, who had become the hero of the village. From that day on, Sam was known as the Plant Whisperer, and people came from all around to see him and his amazing ability to communicate with nature. And even though his pet parrot had been scared during the fire, it still managed to find the humor in the situation and kept repeating, "Sam saved the village." Even though it was really scary,